that this suppression and injustice will not continue forever. So talking about solution, personally I believe in one state solution, which has to be federal and democratic for both nations. Through negotiation, they might decide on 2 provinces, one for the Palestinians and one for Jews. Of course, the largest has to be for the Palestinians because we own most of the land. Now, back in 1947, the U.S. State Department and even the President Truman supported to keep Palestine as a unitary state, whereas the White House, under the pressure of the Zionists, pushed for partitioning Palestine. Do you think today that there is still some ear to support one-state solution in the U.S. administration?
I don't know if any of you heard, probably in the back. Okay, you could hear what he was saying. It's interesting to look at the history of this. Back in '47, which is when this was being pushed through, the State Department, the U.S. State Department, and the U.S. Pentagon opposed supporting the Zionists because they felt it was very damaging to U.S. interests. And they were very correct. When you read the memos they were writing at that time, they were excellent. They were very intelligent and accurate in how harmful this would be to the U.S. So they were recommending against Harry Truman supporting the Zionists. Truman said, gentlemen, I have hundreds of thousands of people eager for the supporting Zionism. I don't have hundreds of thousands of Arab constituents. So the State Department and the Pentagon, for many years, have written memos opposing the policies that our elected representatives then push. The one-state solution, I think that many people feel is the long-term solution. That, a so-called solution where a powerful party imposes it on the powerless party, and therefore, basically, with no power, you agree to something, isn't a long-term solution. It's not one that's fair, it's not one that's just, and therefore it's resented and not embraced by both parties. I think a solution that, as we all know, if you're trying to work out with somebody, if you're trying to negotiate with a neighbor, say, over a fence or a piece of property, you want something where both of you feel it's fair, or there will be continued hostility. What's interesting is that the PLO, from the beginning, its initial proposal was what most Americans believe in. They proposed a secular, democratic state in which Jews, Christians, and Muslims would all have equal rights.
That's Zionism.
That's, a one-state solution. There are 2 excellent books about it, one of them by Ali Abunimah, one by Virginia Tilley. It's very much on the table. More and more Americans, this is the kind of, the 2-state solution is segregation. Back in the civil rights days, the term for a racist was a segregationist. That's what George Wallace was called, that's what Jesse Helms was called. Segregationists were the racists. They didn't want blacks in their schools, or in their libraries, or in their swimming pools. They were willing to have so-called separate but equal, we just give them their own. Now this wasn't, it's different. If both groups are saying we want this, we want our own nation, etc. But the 2-state solution largely is being imposed on Palestinians by a state that wants an ethnically pure state. That's the reality of what's going on here. And if it were an empty land, as they had portrayed it to the world, a land without people for a people without land, then that would be one thing. But when it required ethnic cleansing, at the time and since, and treating the 17 to 20% of the Palestinians who have remained in Israel, who are Muslims and Christians, as third-class citizens, this is not a just kind of solution. It's not a just system.
Do you still have a question?
Yeah. I wanted to know, back to what you said about the lobbyists. To back the claim of lobbyists, influencing Congress, are there specific congressmen that you can acknowledge or attest to that have been influenced by these, lobbyists that hold a pro-Israeli stance?
Yes, the question was about lobbyists. Can I name some that specifically have influenced by the lobby to hold a pro-Israel stance? Yes, and first I'll mention a few that were, maybe if you don't mind, I'll just also tell some that were pushed out because they did not take that. Most recently was Cynthia McKinney from Atlanta, Georgia. Earl Hilliard from Alabama were both pushed out over this issue. In the past, Paul Findley from Central Illinois, Adlai Stevenson from Illinois was pushed out. I can't remember if the second or third, there are several.
Senator from Illinois, Senator.
Also Charles Percy, who was considered a presidential candidate. Presidential material was pushed out over this issue. And there are more. But in terms of the ones that are now influenced to take a stand because of the power, the best way to, I'll see if I can remember some off the top of my head, but the best way to really get this the most accurately is the Washington Report for Middle East Affairs. Has every year, at least once a year, I believe, they have a complete, in fact, they do this occasionally more than once, they have a complete sort of score sheet of the people in Congress showing their voting record on this issue, on the number of bills that have been introduced. They also have a place where they tell the amount of money that different senators and congressmen have gotten from the Israel lobby. So it's easy to see there who's gotten the most money over the lifetime, who in the last year. One of the big recipients, and I think even without money he would be pro-Israel, is Lieberman from Connecticut. Very, very pro-Israel, and he's gotten massive amounts of pro-Israel money. In other cases, let me think, you'll find somebody from Wyoming that has a very small Jewish population getting a lot of out-of-state money on behalf of Israel. But I guess beyond specifically Lieberman, I'll just let people go and look at the website. I think on our website we have this information as well. That probably